YouTube. Yes, I am back. If you're new to my channel, I'm your host, So Southern. And if you are one of my subscribers, a part of my crew, you guys have my heart. You really do. And I thank all of you for tuning in to this episode of Narratives and Tidbits. But guess what? I got something for you guys. Meet Blue. This is my new microphone. And guys, I know I've seen the comments. I've heard your cries. I know that my volume has been so inconsistent, but hopefully with this microphone, it will balance everything out. So I got it solved. So, but if there's any time that you can't hear or the volume shifts, just let me know in the comments and I will get that taken care of for you. Now, let's jump into today's episode. In today's episode, I will discuss a case about a 22-year-old woman that mysteriously came up missing, and her family left no stone unturned trying to find her. We're talking fake love, fear, and a complicated plot. Let me take you back. The year 2018, April the 6th to be exact. This is the case of Lisa Henderson. Lisa Simone Henderson, born November the 23rd, 1995, to Miss Sandra Henderson in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, in 2005, Miss Sandra decided that she wanted to move her family to a place called Appomattox, Virginia. Now, Lisa's family and friends, they describe Lisa as a tomboy that enjoyed playing sports and she loved motorcycles. But her favorite thing was actually taking care or being around her father. Okay, she was definitely a dad's girl. And when her dad became sick, she actually was there like his personal nurse. And after her father passed away, she was a teenager, still in high school, maybe like 15, 16 years old. But it was at that time she decided that she wanted to help people for a living. And she chose the nursing field. So after graduation, Lisa signed up for nursing school. And she also took up on a job at a local dermatologist's office nearby. So, working girl, getting ready to go into school, she was headed in the right direction. During this time, as Lisa's working and going to school, she meets a young man by the name of Devin Pearson. Now, what attracted Lisa to Devin at the beginning was that he had several motorcycles, and she loved motorcycles. So as she began to get to know him more, she fell in love with him. Now, they had a relationship, but it was short term. It didn't last long. So after the breakup, Lisa was said to be very sad because she really, really liked Devin. And since it didn't work out, she decided that she wanted to get another job to take up her spare time and get her mind off of Devin. So at the second job she gets, it's at a distribution center in the next city over in Lynchburg. Now, this is where she meets a young man by the name of Marquis Williams. Marquis, he works there at the distribution center. They meet, they're talking, and she takes a liking to Marquis. Now, her family really wasn't feeling Marquis, because he had 2 kids, and they just felt that Lisa was just kind of filling space because of Devin, because that's who she really was interested in. But anyway, Lisa had the relationship with Marquis. Now, before I jump into the root of the story, please excuse the dogs that are barking and the lawnmowers that you hear. I'm shooting this video during the day, and it's very active. So anyway, I'm getting the story out. I'm getting it filmed, and I'm hooking you guys up regardless. So okay, it's now Friday, April the 6th, and Miss Sandra, Lisa's mom, she's been calling Lisa, and Lisa hasn't answered her phone or sent her a text. Now, Miss Sandra, she's like, I'm kind of worried, but not really, because she kind of assumed that Lisa maybe was busy at work because she should have been at work at this time. But that all changes when Miss Sandra receives a phone call from the dermatologist's office stating that Lisa never reported for work. So Miss Sandra kind of goes into panic mode because that's something totally off, because Lisa always calls her back or texts her or something. So Miss Sandra actually makes a phone call to the boyfriend, Marquis Williams. Marquis says he has not heard from Lisa, and the family and other family and friends of Lisa stated that they had not heard from her. They tried to call and they never received a response back from her either. So where's Lisa? Miss Sandra just had this gut feeling that something was wrong. So she immediately goes to the Campbell County Sheriff's Office to file a missing persons report. Campbell County detectives received emergency access to Lisa's phone. But when they did that, it failed to give a location, which actually means that the phone was powered off. But they did receive information on the last time that the phone was active and the tower that it pinged off of. And that information indicated that the last time the phone was used or active was in Campbell County on Sage Road. Now, Sage Road, this is where Marquis Williams, the boyfriend, lives. So, you know what that means. It means that it's time to question Marquis. Detectives decided to do a background check on Marquis Williams before they brought him in for questioning. And Marquis' background was clean, no prior record, which is a good thing. So when Marquis came in on the 7th to talk to the detectives, he actually, he was concerned about Lisa's whereabouts. He's very worried because he stated to the detectives the last time that he saw Lisa was April the 5th, the night of April the 5th, and that Lisa told him that she was going over to spend the night at her best friend's house named Jamaica, and she left his house a little after 11 p.m. So he assumed that she did just that, went over to Jamaica, spent the night, and went to work. But we know she didn't show up for work. So, did she disappear before she went to Jamaica's, or did she disappear on her way to work? Now, Marquis did say that after after Lisa left to go to Jamaica's, that his best friend Felix was at his home, but he spent the night there, and they didn't leave the house, Marquis' house, until the following morning. So, what happened? But with that question, we need to talk to Jamaica to find out what's going on. Okay, wait. Before we question Jamaica, Marquis' best friend Felix Henderson is questioned. Now, Felix wasn't feeling the questioning with detectives. He was very standoffish and really didn't want to talk. However, he did say he didn't know much about Lisa and he only saw her when he was over to Marquis' house. His story lined up with Marquis about Lisa leaving before midnight and him being dropped off the next morning by Marquis. So after Felix's interview, detectives decide to put out a bolo for Lisa and her vehicle, and they just went on to the next suspect, which is Lisa's best friend, Jamaica Robertson. During Jamaica's questioning, she says she was talking to Lisa Thursday night while she was over at Marquis' place. She also confirmed, Lisa was supposed to come over and stay the night, but she never showed up. So that was the reason why she went over to Marquis' place the following morning looking for her. She figured maybe Lisa changed her mind. Marquis says to Jamaica, hey, I thought she was at your house. That's where she told me she was headed, when she left here last night. Jamaica, she said Marquis was very surprised, and concerned because he was sure that Lisa was with her. Marquis also informed Jamaica, Miss Sandra called him right before she got there looking for Lisa because Lisa didn't show up for work either. Marquis wanted Jamaica to help him look for her, but he said he had to drop off some Pampers for his baby. Now, when Jamaica made that statement, the detectives wanted to know the relationship status between Lisa and the mother of Marquis' kids, whose name is Danielle. Jamaica described the relationship between them as rocky, and Danielle didn't like Lisa and never wanted the children around her. They've had several altercations. So, question, is it possible Danielle has something to do with Lisa's disappearance? Well, now it brings Danielle into the mix, and she's up next for questioning. Now, Danielle's questioning actually didn't last long. She just wasn't cooperative or helpful. But she did admit she didn't like Lisa and had nothing to do with the disappearance. She said she went to work from 10 a.m. to 7:15 p.m. on Thursday and went straight home. Oh, now Danielle and the kids, let me insert this tidbit. Danielle and the kids live with Marquis' mother. Yeah. When she got home, Marquis and his mother were there, and, he was there for a few minutes and then he left. She said, she gave the kids a bath and they went to bed. Marquis did call that night, she says, to check on the kids, and that was it. She says the call lasted only 30 seconds. So the detectives were left feeling, unsettled with Danielle and her statement. She just, presented animosity, a lot of animosity against Lisa and the whole situation. Was it possible Danielle was lying? Yeah, was Marquis in a relationship with Danielle and Lisa? It's just weird. At this point, detectives subpoenaed the phone records for Lisa, Marquis, and Felix. The phone records. The phone records reveal Felix was telling the truth about not having any contact with Lisa outside of Marquis. The call log and messages verified no relationship. On Lisa's phone, the text messages with Jamaica were confirmed from Thursday night while she was over at Marquis' place. But, there was another number that showed up multiple times on Lisa's call log and text messages days before and the day of Lisa's disappearance. That number belonged to Devin. Yeah, you remember Devin Pearson, the guy Lisa was in the relationship with before Marquis. The guy with the motorcycles. Yeah, that guy. So here's another question. Did Lisa detour and meet Devin somewhere instead of going to her best friend Jamaica's house? Is he the reason why she's missing? Ugh. Now, looking at Marquis' phone records, his phone records showed multiple calls to Lisa's phone after he found out she was missing. But the number that stuck out on his call log was Danielle's, the baby's mom. Remember when she had her questioning, she said that she did talk with Marquis, but it was like a 30-second call because he was checking on the kids, right? Well, records showed 2 calls, and both were more than 30 seconds. One of them that really stuck out was one that was actually a little over 20 minutes on April the 5th. So why did Danielle lie about that? That's not a good look. So we have a lie and we have a person that despises Lisa. It's now April the 8th, and before detectives could get back to Danielle, they receive a call about Lisa's car and that it was abandoned in Lynchburg on Campbell Avenue. Detectives go and tow Lisa's car to a reserved area so they can have the forensics team investigate in hopes to find clues that could possibly lead to Lisa. Luminol was used inside and out of the vehicle and no blood was detected. No fingerprints or nothing. Like, now that's weird. The car was clean. It was like Lisa just disappeared into thin air. Detectives finally get Danielle back in for her second questioning. Danielle was asked again about her phone call with Marquis that Thursday night. She repeats that, the call was very short, only about the kids, only lasted around 30 seconds, right? Okay, now, as she's retelling this lie, detectives pull out the actual call log, displaying the 2 calls, specifically pointing out the 20-minute call, and asked her to explain. Now, listen, it was at this point Danielle asked for a lawyer and she shut down and went completely mute. And with that move, the detectives felt like Danielle knows more than what she's telling them. But guys, there's one more person that should be questioned, right? And that's Devin Pearson. I mean, he was the last person to have contact with Lisa. All right. So Devin goes in for his questioning and says he and Lisa had recently reconnected, but only through text and phone calls. They had not seen each other at all. The last time they had contact was the night of the disappearance. He also says he knew about Marquis being Lisa's boyfriend and he wasn't bothered by it because they were just friends, just that. Lisa had expressed to him by text that she wanted to break things off with Marquis, and she explained that she was unhappy with him. So Devin let the detectives go through his phone. I mean, he was very forthcoming and transparent. Now, another question. Is it possible that Marquis found out about Devin and had Lisa kidnapped? I mean, did Devin secretly set up Lisa because she didn't want him as a boyfriend anymore? Is Danielle a part of the disappearance and or cover-up? I mean, did Felix have something to do with Lisa and Marquis? Or is he covering up for Marquis and Danielle? I mean, it's just too many questions, not enough answers. Detectives are like, okay, let's get Marquis back in to see what else he can tell us, because we are just at a loss. Now, during this questioning for Marquis, he was asked to do a polygraph. And, he agrees. He maintained his story about Lisa leaving his house around 11 p.m. to go over to Jamaica's Thursday night. Now, here's the kicker. Marquis failed his polygraph. It detected complete deception. So this plot thickens. Now let's look at what we've got here. We've got Danielle, the baby mama, that was caught in a lie and who wants an attorney because she's not talking anymore, right? And now we got Marquis. He can't pass a polygraph. He stops talking altogether. This escalated quickly, right? Mm-hmm. Detectives are now in full interrogation mode on Marquis after these polygraph results. And, now Marquis, he just breaks out and breaks down in tears. However, with all the crying, all, the failed, test, Marquis still doesn't admit to knowing Lisa's whereabouts. He says he's crying because he's scared and he's never been in trouble before, which is true because remember when they did the background check on Marquis, he didn't have a record, right? So, if that's the case, why did Marquis immediately shut down and ask for an attorney himself? Why is he crying? What's really going on? After Marquis' questioning and failed polygraph, detectives let Marquis go because they didn't have anything to hold him on. However, they did get a search warrant for his trailer. Now, while looking for evidence and clues, they came across a multitude of firearms. We're talking like 18 to 19 guns. Like, why do you need that many? Marquis was present during the search, and something strange happens. The strange thing was that, one, he didn't ask any questions about Lisa or how the investigation was going. He actually didn't say anything until all the guns were retrieved. He then turns to one of the detectives and says, and I quote, "Make sure to take care of my babies." Out of all the things that you could say, that's what you decide to say? Now, all of the guns were checked out, and Marquis was the owner of all of them legally. Nothing stolen. So the search was really a bust. It's April the 10th. And remember Felix Henderson, Marquis' friend? All right. Well, the detectives decided to question him again in hopes that he would be more cooperative than the first time. Now, on the onset, Felix was not trying to really talk to detectives, but the detectives laid out, some information that they knew, and they went into full interrogation mode on him. And Felix began talking like his mouth had diarrhea. At this point, Felix figured, they were pretty much caught, innocent, And Felix says, Marquis killed Lisa by strangling her. He says he didn't witness him doing it, but he helped by getting rid of the evidence. He says Marquis drove Lisa's car to the location where it was found on Campbell Avenue. He took her keys and her phone and threw them in the James River. He also asserted that Lisa's body was in the town of Concord, which is a nearby town. They disposed of her body in a wooded area off Plum Branch Road, and he led the detectives to the actual location of Lisa's body. Now, Lisa's body was, some ways, several yards from the highway. And she wasn't, like covered up with dirt. They didn't bury her. with a, she wasn't covered or anything. She was just laid out in the open. No attempt to hide the body, basically, is what I'm saying. She did have her clothes on, but wow, just wow. That's crazy. But guys, there's a problem, with this, finding Lisa's body, and the problem is, remember Felix said that Lisa was strangled? That was a lie. Lisa's body indicated that she was shot. She was shot multiple times. Her clothes had bullet holes in them, and the shell case, I can't talk today, guys, but the shell casings were still out, exposed on the side of her body. Like, y'all didn't even pick them up. Y'all just shot the girl up and went on about your business. That's crazy. So here lies the question. So why is Felix still lying? Like, dude, stop. Just stop. Detectives went back to grilling him some more because obviously he's not telling the whole story. Felix does admit now that Marquis shot Lisa, but says he doesn't know why and he didn't even ask. Like, come on, Felix. At this point, we know. It's time to give the family some closure. That's what the detectives continued saying to Felix in hopes that he would completely give, the complete story. So within a little time of them, trying to get him to tell the truth, Felix does admit the true story. And here's what really happened to Lisa. Marquis, Felix, and Lisa are hanging out at Marquis' trailer. Lisa is receiving text messages, and Marquis is bothered, well, more than bothered, by her receiving messages actually back to back. He takes Lisa into his bedroom, and they begin to argue because Marquis has now read the messages between Lisa and her friend Devin. Marquis escorts Lisa out of the bedroom and says to Felix, "Hey, let's go for a ride." Lisa, Felix, and Marquis ride out, and they pull in and stop in a heavily wooded area. Marquis tells Felix and Lisa to get out of the vehicle. Lisa senses tension in the air and is quite frightened. Marquis reaches in the vehicle and pulls out 2 guns. One of them he hands to Felix. Marquis forces Lisa and Felix into the woods, and he's telling them, hey guys, help me find some guns that I buried out here in the woods. Now, Lisa is completely frightened, and she's begging for her life because she feels that something is about to go really, really wrong. The moment Lisa breaks out running to get away from Marquis, he shoots at her and tells Felix to shoot as well. And Felix did just that. Felix is now placed under arrest for murder. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Marquis was arrested right after Felix's arrest, right? Well, not quite. You see, detectives still don't have concrete evidence, or any for that matter, that Marquis was a part of this missing person turned homicide case. So they are now trying to solidify Felix's story and get evidence to connect Marquis to this murder. Now, during this time, they send off for an autopsy, and they finally get Lisa's autopsy. And the report indicated she was shot 9 times with 2 different guns. The 2 guns used was a .45 caliber and a .38 revolver. So Felix's story corroborated with the investigation finding, and that was enough for an arrest. And on July 3rd of 2018, Marquis was located at his mother's home and was placed under arrest. Felix pled guilty to felony charges of second-degree murder and use of a firearm in commission of a felony. He was sentenced to 20 years for second-degree murder and 3 years on the firearm charge. Marquis pled guilty to first-degree murder, use of firearm in commission of a felony, and grand larceny for stealing Lisa's phone and car keys. Now, he was sentenced to life in prison, a total of 105 years, which includes charges for the use of firearm and for grand larceny, which is actually a deal because he could have been sentenced to death. Now, after the sentences, the Henderson family expressed they finally received closure for Lisa and just wanted justice. And hey, I'm glad they received just that. Tell me what you guys think about this case. Do you think Danielle really knew what Marquis and Felix did to Lisa? I do. I think she should have had to answer for that. But I mean, I'm angered that Marquis felt the need to murder Lisa just because she was conversing with another guy. And, she wanted to move on with her life. So, that shouldn't be a big deal. Like, move on. Both of you guys, young, move on with your life. It doesn't take all of that. And Felix, he just went along with the program. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But hey, please check out my other videos on my channel and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Oh, and turn on the notifications so you'll know when I drop a new video. So Southern signing off, and you guys be safe out there. Bye.